It's Song Talk Radio.
Welcome to Song Talk Radio. This is the show with songwriters talking to other songwriters about the craft of songwriting. We share tips, tools, and techniques, and together we all become better at writing songs. I'm your host, Neil Modi, and with me, my co-host, Phil Emery. How are you tonight, Phil?
I am doing fine, Neil. How are you today?
I'm doing very well and excellent. It's a nice hot day here in Toronto, so great to get outside.
Hot
even
day
though we're
everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Even though we're stuck inside doing this podcast, which is awesome too.
It's true.
For everyone else, please send your comments and questions to at Song Talk Radio on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Feedback at songtalk.ca for the email, and we'll share your thoughts on the show. And please visit us at songtalk.ca to find out how you can be a guest. And tonight, of course, no guests, just the family again. And before we get to the meat of the show, a couple of little things that we like to share with you, our listeners. Another great video I saw today from YouTuber David Bennett, who we mentioned on the show a couple of weeks ago. He did a show called Every Possible Chord Symbol Explained. And he goes through literally like every single chord symbol and tells you, if it's, should it mean major? Should it mean minor? Should it mean diminished, augmented, 7 chords, whatever. And I had two sort of interesting moments in this. And one of them came from, I believe, I do recall this, Phil, way back when we had Frank Horvath on the show and we talked about chords. Right. And I think it was you that had asked him, what's the difference between like an A9 and an A add 9?
Yes.
Right. And this video has the answer, which I did learn sometime in the interim what it is. But the difference is, like, if you have an A add 9, it's an A major chord, so A, C sharp, and E, and then the 9, which is the G, and that's it. So it's A, C sharp, E, and G up the octave, right? That's the A add 9. But an A9 assumes that you have a 7, right? Yes. So it's A, C, E, G. Oh, sorry. The 9 is the B, right? In the A, so it would be the B, A, C, E, A, C sharp, E, and B for the A add 9, and A, C, E. G, so it would be the dominant 7, so like the flattened 7, and the B, just the way in a 11 chord you would assume the 7 and the 9, and the 13 chord you would assume the 7, 9, 11, and then get the 13. But if you say add something, then it's literally just add that specific note without all the other things in there. And the other sort of interesting moment I had watching that video was when he showed the various ways that you can display a major chord. So like it's just a plain letter C, that's just a C major, or C M A G, smaller case, lowercase M A G is major. C with a capital M would be C major sometimes in jazz, and C with a triangle would be C major. And it was interesting because when I watched that, I was like, man, I've never seen that before. And then instantly I had a complete flashback to high school in stage band and in fusion band, and all the sheet music we had back then had triangles all over them.
It's true. I've come across the triangles and also the little sort of degree signs.
Yeah, the degree sign is diminished.
Yeah, the diminished. And I wasn't really sure what it is, although I figured it out sort of in context. But it's a great video. It really does really clarify all those things. And I think most of us sort of kind of know it, but it's nice to have the sort of clarity added to all this because it's really good. Yeah,
because there'll be a couple of details in that you probably didn't know or just needed clarity on.
Yeah, like, on C, sus, and, the difference between C7 or C major 7. And, it's a great video. It's very straightforward. It's not super short. It's like about 17 minutes. Mm-hmm. So it goes into a fair amount of depth, but it really does help. And things like, 6 chords or with slashes. Very often people come across that. And a fantastic watch for anyone out there.
I must admit, when I was 14 years old and started playing piano really, and started, writing my own music and stuff like that. I thought the slash meant you could play this chord or that chord.
That's true.
C or an E. Like, well, how does that work? Okay, whatever. And then someone told me, no, that just means that's the bass. Oh,
It's the
okay.
bass.
Is that what that means?
And I remember at one time thinking, well, why don't they just sort of say it's like a second or a third inversion? Because a second inversion is where you have the third on the bass.
Yeah.
And then the second inversion is where you have the fifth in the bass.
Yeah.
But of course, you don't necessarily have to have a note that's in the chord as the bass. It could be
it could be any other thing, and plus that's a lot easier than wrapping your head around which one's the second and third inversion again.
Yeah.
Just give me the note. What's the note on the bass? That's it. Very, very simple. Because that's what a lot of he talks about. You can do extrapolate these long, things, chord symbols for any chord. But a lot of the time, the whole point is that you're communicating your chord structure to someone else, and the simpler it is, the more straightforward it is, the better it is, right? Absolutely.
Yeah, a great video. And we'll definitely have a link to that to our show notes.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, the YouTube algorithm sent me to a Jacob Collier video where he was answering music theory questions from Twitter.
Oh, cool.
He's a funny guy. and it was really interesting. But the one thing I learned in his thing, he completely dismissed the circle of fifths, but not dismissed when he's like,
oh, really?
Well, he actually sang it. Like he actually sang every single fifth, like in different octaves. I was like, dude, this guy's like, wow, it's like spot on, right? And but he explained what a tritone, not what a tritone is. Like we all know what a tritone is, but he explained why it's called a tritone. Do you know why a tritone is called a tritone?
Because it's made of thirds and there's three of them?
It's three tones. It's three whole tones. Like the interval is three whole tones.
Okay.
Hence tritone. I'm like, well, this seems so obvious when you think about it, but it's like I never knew that's why it was called a tritone before.
Yeah, well, I mean, so much of music is, once you sort of know it, you kind of go, well, duh.
Yeah.
But before that, you're just especially when you're self-taught, you've kind of learned all these strategies to sort of fake your way through or to sort of, kind of get to where you need to go. And it's great having this resource that sort of just clarifies it and you go, oh, okay. And then it's no longer this mystery.
Yeah, exactly.
I have something as well.
Yeah, you found a little goodie.
Yes, this is a really cool little link I've come across actually on a post on Reddit by a website called Girl in Blue Music at girlandbluemusic.com. And it's called the Chord Progression Generator. And it says, this chord progression generator will help you come up with chord progressions for your music and come up with topics to write about. You can generate progressions and word prompts separately using the buttons displayed, or together, where you can randomize everything. And basically, it'll just, you can give it a key, like C major or, E minor. Mm-hmm. And it'll give you some random chords. Mm-hmm. And it's just a great way of sometimes getting over, so often when we're writing, we tend to use the same kinds of chords all the time. Yeah. Our hands go to the same place. We use the same kinds of approaches. And this is a great way of getting out of your brain and just trying something completely at random that you didn't actually generate yourself, but just as a jumping off part. So if I selected the key of E minor and clicked on random chords, it gave me E minor, C, G, and D, which is the one minor, of course, the 6, the 3, and the 7.
But presumably that progression is supposed to be related to the word that's also selected, right?
Possibly. I haven't quite.
It's supposed to feel like that.
Yeah. I'm not sure about that. One thing it said writing about Satan. Another one is writing about Cope. And if I click on randomize everything, but it does keep what key you're.
Yeah. You the only thing that remains fixed is the key.
Is the key.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I wouldn't go so far as to call them random chords because they're not random. They're
Yeah.
they're like usable chord progressions, right? Like,
Yeah, so they definitely use it. But I mean, in C minor, he came up with 2 diminished 5-1,
oh,
which is B diminished G minor and then C minor. So yeah, it's a really cool little thing for this website called Girl and Blue Music, and they have courses and various resources for you to download and about learning piano and how to read music and things like that. So they
is there
offer
an app for
courses
this,
as well.
or is it just the website?
I think right now it's just the website.
Yeah, because this could be this could very easily be an app.
It could actually, and maybe. Well, I'm sure you could access it on the on your
Yeah,
phone.
you can always just access it on your phone, whatever.
But yeah, it's a really fun little tool, and it's great to have all these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just for one of those things where you're maybe feeling a little stuck or whatever, then this can jumpstart a thing or whatever.
Usually, when people have writer's block, I always say that you're not listening to enough different things in your daily music diet. You need to start listening to something new that you've never listened to, and that'll give you inspiration and give you some new ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is where we're doing that. So we will add that to the show notes and give it a shot and let us know what you think.
Yeah, definitely let us know. That would be great. I have to give it a try myself. Okay, tonight we're happy to be doing our third and final batch of listener songs for our songwriting challenge this year, which is still to write a song with the title "Why Do You Cry?" And so we've had 2 episodes so far. Where we've showcased listener replies to the challenge. And of course, we've had 3 episodes where the 3 hosts, Phil, Michael, and myself, shared our answers to the challenge. And we're going to be doing another episode in next week's podcast where the 3 of us are going to showcase our updated versions of the song, because as everyone knows, it's an ongoing process. And after the challenge is done, you can still revisit your song and continue to work on it and improve it and make it better.
Indeed.
So, and of course, we'd love to hear from our listeners as well. After you hear maybe based on the feedback that we provide on the show tonight and in the other listener episodes, if you feel the urge to revisit the song, we'd love to hear what you come up with as a version 2. Of your answers. So it's gonna be an ongoing thing for sure.
That would be awesome.
All right. So shall we start with Diane Simone?
Yes.
And Diane wrote to us and said, "Please find my submission for the songwriting challenge. Why do you cry? I've never had to write something based on someone else's suggestion, so it definitely took me out of my comfort zone." That's the idea. I originally wanted to write about how beautiful the world is and have it juxtaposed with somebody being depressed. The idea of how you can feel down when there are so many beautiful things still happening in the world. Then it morphed into writing about a generic sad love affair, but I started to add names. And then decided to have the lives of 2 people intertwine about someone going on endless one-night stands, but it never working out, and a past love watching this with a broken heart, hence the story of Sandra and Joe. So this is Diane Simone's answer to Why Do You Cry?
That's great. And one thing I want to mention, and I'd like to talk about hooks. Neil, can I talk about hooks for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. So, we were always talking about hooks and how important it is to have hooks, just as a general feature of a song, especially if you want to be have songs, maybe generate income or something. And this has a really interesting hook to it, which grabbed my ear the first time I heard it. So keep listening to it, and we'll talk about it a bit more, but just think about what would be a hook in this song.
Okay.
Sandra's hanging out again at the bar. She's waiting for another call. Fills her This one's different as I head out for the door. Joe takes another swig to help pass the time away, and thinks of better times before Sandra got away. Another guy again, just like every other day. It hurts his heart to watch her each night as she walks away. Hands entangled, hearts entwined. Hello, goodbye, just another night like any other night. So why do you cry? Why do you cry?
Very
Very
cool.
nice.
So it's something hit me at this song, and she only did it once, but it really grabbed my ear, and that was the way she first hit the line at the bar.
Okay.
Da 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 at the bar, and the way she handled that line really was very hooky, and I think that rhythm I wanted to hear more often because it really did sort of jump out and kind of grab me, which I really liked. And I think if I was working with her, I would have just said, "That's fantastic. That needs to be in every verse." You know, because that's that rhythm. And sometimes a hook can be just something like the way you hit a certain word or a certain rhythm of a line. It doesn't have to be necessarily a melodic line. It can actually be something that's just as simple as a rhythmic line.
Yeah, and I think the reason it may have only occurred in the first verse is that it like at the bar has got a lot of harder consonants in it.
Yeah.
Whereas in the second verse, it's like drinks again.
Yeah.
And then in the third verse, like lines of age and time away. Like it doesn't like the other equivalent spots where that might happen in the other verses are not as punchy lyrically.
Yeah.
Right. So that it may have done that. When you said the hook, I thought for sure you were talking about the top of the chorus, the hands entangled, hearts entwined. It's got that lovely melodic jump, and it's really, really nice.
It's also very clear what the chorus is.
Oh yeah.
You know, but it seemed like the verse almost had two parts to it.
Yeah, it's sort of two. Yeah. You mean each verse had like a part and a B part. Really. Then a part and a B part, like a first half and a second half. Yeah, for sure. Which I really like because it can get a little bit repetitive if every verse line is kind of the same melody shape and the same chord and the same whatever. So I mean, I've always been keen about that in my own writing and encouraging others, like consider like the third line of your verse. Maybe it's got a different shape to it somehow.
Yeah.
And some of that. And yeah, she did that really well with the different chord and the different melody and everything. Yeah, I really like the melody shape of the chorus.
Something that if I was working with her, I would, definitely say, let's grab that rhythm and let's move it into the other verses. But the A part of the first verse, I wanted to hear that twice because I really like that A part of the verse.
Oh, okay.
To me, it really sort of kind of flowed really well, and I just really love that. So I'd almost have like A B chorus, then A B chorus, A B chorus type thing.
Yeah, like right now she's only got 2 choruses in here. She could tweak it so it had 3 choruses.
Yeah, 3 choruses which would be fine. Good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then maybe you want a bridge, but
but it's also a pretty complicated song lyrically. There's a real story to it, and
yeah, there's a little story to it, which is kind of nice. And it's this is the one issue I have with her song, and this is the same thing happened, especially in the first episode we did of listener songs, where the point of view gets a little lost when you hit the title. Like
Oh,
there's no you in this song until the Why Do You Cry?
It has to be within dialogue.
Well, it either has to be within dialogue, one of the characters has to be saying it, or we need to identify who you is earlier in the song. Because earlier in the song, there's he and she.
That's
there's
right.
Sandra and there's Joe, and that's it. So then when you hit Why Do You Cry? Who's the you?
That's an interesting point.
Right. And that is the title of the song, and that's got to be central, the central idea of the song. So that needs to be clearer, I think.
It's I love the way she sort of described the process, because I've never been able to do story songs, and I've always wanted to, but it's such a relatable story as well. I think for a lot of people, which helps. Sometimes you can have, they're poor kids and they're making it on their own, or it could be a little obvious. And this is sort of something that a lot of people have gone through. And it's relatable. I think even people in happy relationships certainly remember what that was like, Yeah, neat song.
Yeah. So it's a wonderful little slice of, and it's very intimate, right?
Yeah.
It's literally just about two people.
Yeah.
And their thoughts and their experiences and how they see things. And it's really, it's very, very small that way, like very, very intimate, which I really like about it.
Yeah. Thanks, Diane. That was a really cool song. If you, we'd love to hear some more versions of it as you go forth and tweak it.
Absolutely.
If you decide to.
Yes, for sure. Okay. And so next up we have our good friend Don Thompson, of course. And Don, if our listeners remember, was our tech support, who always made us sound good when we were live on the radio and recording the podcast at CJRU radio station at Ryerson University in downtown Toronto. Oh, so long ago now. Seems like, and Don actually did a music video for his song, and as well did an explainer video for his song, explaining his process. And we're going to play just a little snippet of his explainer video. And but in the show post, be sure to check out the show post on songtalk.ca. We'll link to his full video, because he does go into a lot of detail about how he wrote this song, and it's well worth to listen to his video. So let's just hear a little bit of it, if you please, Phil.
The title "Why Do You Cry" already has a nice sound to it, at least to my ears. It's kind of a rhythmic balance. It's got this flow to it. Why do you cry? And it's already got built-in rhymes. It's almost like a rhyming mirror. If you were to take "Why do you cry" and you put a little mirror in the middle here, "do" and "you" are rhyming mirror, and then "why" and "cry." Yeah, strange analogy, but I think that's why it has a nice flow to it, and why it lent itself very quickly to finding a melody line. It's a real memorable song title, for me at least. It's easy to remember. If you listen to the song, you might wonder, why the hell is it missing in the choruses? Well, I used it a number of times in the verses, and the bridge actually starts with "Why do you cry?" So I think I already used it enough times already.
Cool.
Okay. I never noticed that about his observation about the rhyming mirror. Why do you cry? The "why" and the "cry" obviously rhyme, but the "do" and the "you," it's like, it is literally like a mirror image thing. Like, it's very cool. And even in his video, even he shows it with a line, and
it's
very cool.
Quite well done.
Yeah, it's a really neat observation. Okay, so let's have a listen to his song.
ding. Ah, that's so
love
cool.
it. Oh, that's great.
I like how the bridge is just totally out there.
Yeah,
Just
I love the bridge.
it's also I like the fact that the intro is, it's very different than the verse, and I kind of want to hear the intro put into the instrumental. Because in the instrumental, it's just the verse.
It's just the verse,
and the intro is kind of cool. So it'd be nice to.
Well, the intro is a straight feel, and the rest of the song is got a shuffle feel.
Yeah.
It's really it's kind of, it's not jarring, but it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's kind of neat. Yeah, it is very. I don't know if it's the bridge high up in the beautiful blue sky that kind of, and the musical change in the bridge that reminded me of Mr. Blue Sky, ELO.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. It kind of had that. It kind of had that kind of energy, and maybe just the lyric "Beautiful Blue Sky."
Yeah, that's true.
Mr. Blue Sky. Yeah, it's great. And okay, so here's a fantastic example of a songwriter who incorporated the title really, really well.
Yes.
Right. Tell me, why do you cry? Like it's enveloped in the language, and the ideas are clear about things going on in the world. Things you can't unsee. That's a really good line. Show me things I can't unsee. I really like that. And then the positivity of the bridge kind of flips all that whole idea on its head, and just let it fly free like a bird in the open sky. And just how he kind of ends it. He leaves it kind of hanging on the end. How do you make a change when you're wrapped up in your very own chains? Chains. And
it kind of the way it ends with that ding.
Yeah, it's
really
a very
cool.
Beatlesque ending. The whole song is Beatlesque, but the ending especially is very Beatlesque.
There's lots of bits to it too. It's not.
Yeah.
Lots of chords and lots of
chords and lots of chord borrowing, like that. Like it's in D, then he throws in the F sharp major. It's like, he throws in a major 3 into their chord progression. That's great.
Yeah, like I really like the verses. I'll make this criticism to Don, because Don's, of course, very advanced, so it's different. But I think his chorus could be stronger.
His chorus. It's interesting. His chorus, it's a down chorus. The energy is lower in his chorus than it is in the verse, because he's going from in the key of D, and then he goes in the key of C for the chorus. So it's like he's modulating down for one thing, and the melody is lower.
Yeah.
And for the first time I heard that chorus, I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, what if the melody in the chorus actually jumped up? But but how do you it's so sad and lonely. Maybe it wants to be down. I don't know.
Well, it's also, it's so sad and lonely living in your play. Oh, it's so hard climbing out of the pity. That could also, because you're talking about a challenge, about climbing out of the pity. So it could be a bit more kind of heroic, and it could be a bit kind of bigger and stronger, as opposed to kind of sort of. And I don't think the melody is strong enough, because the verses are so cool. Tell me, why do you cry? There it has you. Why do you cry? It's got that. There's a hook, right?
Yeah,
why
absolutely.
Do you cry?
Yeah. The melodies in the verses are way more interesting than the chord. I think he saved his big and triumphant for the bridge, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe he didn't want to overplay the choruses because that would diminish the impact of the bridge, perhaps.
But I do think there's a stronger chorus in the song.
I would tend to agree with you. Yeah.
It sure as heck doesn't get boring.
No, it's a really entertaining, interesting song. And there's a lot going on.
And it does make me realize how sometimes in my own stuff, there's not that much variation. From verse, there's a lot of variation. There's the intro, which is completely its own thing. And then you have its verse, and then you have the chorus, which is a very different thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the instrumental, which is kind of like the verse, and then you have the bridge, which is like totally
way out in left field.
And it does make me sort of realize, I don't really make that many changes, which is something maybe I should explore a bit more, because I kind of tend to be fairly tied to a melodic and chordal center from a very classic pop song format.
Right.
And I mean, Don does, I think, a lot more kind of progressive-y kind of things.
Yeah. His song is a lot in common with Gilbert Neal's take on this.
Yes,
from a musical perspective.
Yeah,
I remember a guest last week, three at home, being accused that their songs are too dynamic.
Too dynamic. Yes, I don't know if
that's where you want to be.
Yeah.
That's what you need to strive for, Phil. Is people telling you that your songs are too busy, and that is the danger when you try to do things that are quote unquote interesting.
Yes.
Right. That it gets too like weird or too flashy in the sense of, oh, look, the songwriter modulated here to this other key because it's cool to modulate to a different key. You know what I mean? It doesn't like Dawn's, to be honest, it feels like it actually serves the song. The changes don't seem too out there. Even the bridge that's out there.
They don't seem random.
They don't seem random. It is still a cohesive song and put together that way. And Gilbert's from last time, same thing. Even though he's got key changes all over the place and stuff, it still felt together. And I think that's the trick is doing interesting things that don't sound like weird stuff that doesn't sound weird.
That's true. I mean, there's lots of outsider music that I quite enjoy, but doing music that's not super straightforward and doesn't sound too weird can be definitely a challenge.
Yeah. That's why I was always a big fan of They Might Be Giants. Like, you actually listen to the songs and the construction of the songs, they are really quite brilliant, and they're crazy and they're weird, but it's so sing-songy that you can't help that it's pretty straightforward in a lot of ways, right?
I'm a little friend, but I'm a little glowing friend, but really I'm not actually your friend. Which doesn't mean anything, but it's so creepy,
that's a brilliant song, though.
I love this. All their stuff is brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Thanks so much, Don. That's a great thing. I mean, if anything, Don, maybe it's this song maybe brings a little too much joy to the otherwise dark subject matter. With the shuffle feel and but again, not a bad thing. There are a billion songs that I did that with my challenge as well. I wanted to make it upbeat and kind of melodically interesting as well, without it sounding too sad, even though the subject matter is sad.
Yes.
So do your thing.
Awesome.
Okay, and finally, Paul Gallagher, who Paul Gallagher, of course, is a very regular at our songwriters Song Talk meetup, and he's been coming out for a long time. He's a piano player and singer, and he's got a bit of a quirky attitude to his songwriting, I think. Which is cool. So Paul wrote to us and said, I have to say that I was not thrilled with the title. I really struggled with a concept and building a storyline. The backing tracks came first. This is a secret. Don't tell anyone. Here we go. We're going to tell everyone. The chord changes are inspired by Miles Davis from his album Kind of Blue, and the piano syncopation was inspired by Herbie Hancock's work in the early 70s.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to look for inspiration for stuff, then you can't go wrong there. Then I added hip hop beats and bass and went through my library for background sound effects. I used the storyline as personal practice in case I came across the situation again. I've been known not to do so well. Maybe this will give me practice to do better. Best, Paul Gallagher.
And he has lots of interesting chords like D sharp minor ninth over an A sharp bass.
Yeah.
D sharp minor add 9.
Yeah. An F3 major 13. What does that even mean? I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, like by the time it gets to St. John's, I don't know what that means. So
certainly not. Okay, so let's take a listen to Paul Gallagher's answer to "Why Do You Cry?"
Why do you cry, babe? Come here. I see you're upside down. Dry your eyes on my shoulder. Go ahead and let it out. Why do you cry, babe? Is it about the best friend you've known since you were 11? Returning calls never come, and a ghost into the desert. Lost the thread, you shared so much. Now she's turned it down to off. Are you missing the thick and buzzy talk? Yeah, it's tough, it won't last forever. Let's take a breath. You're more than enough. Why do you cry, babe? Whispers inside the head are clouds rolling by. You answer only to you. Deep down you know what is true. Why do you cry, babe? Is it about your big brother, even though he's 2 years younger? You're rock forever until he's not. Cold shoulder girl. Hollow for his space, something erased. Do you miss the hand on your shoulder and hearing the words, it's okay? Yeah, it's tough, it won't last forever. Let's take a breath. You're more than enough. Why do you cry, babe? Whispers inside the head are clouds rolling by. You answer only to you. Deep down you know what is true. Why do you cry? Is it the unglued talk we had the other night? Yeah, we agree it was more of a fight. It was careless. We could have done better. Yes, expectations aside. We're two wheels on this bike. Let's try one more time. Now I'll be quiet. Whispers inside the head are clouds rolling by. You answer only to you. Deep down you know what is true. Why do you cry? Talk to me, now I'll be quiet. You are more than enough. Whispers inside the head are clouds rolling by. You answer only to you. Deep down you know what is true.
Groovy.
That's so neat.
I really dig it. I really dig it. There's a lot of interesting. It's such a mashup of stuff. There's a bit of jazz in the chord progressions. There's a bit of hip hop in the beat and in the vocal delivery. There's like quirkiness to it. There's a bit of sing-songy, but speak sing almost thing going on. Like it's really hard to like if you had to slap a genre on this, as much as I don't like slapping genres on things. I
don't know what
jazz.
Well,
just call it jazz. When you're not sure what it is, call it jazz.
Just call it jazz. Well, when you have a D sharp add 2,
Yeah.
I think it is jazz.
Yeah.
I really liked it just because, the vocal approach is, kind of very novel in a lot of ways, and it's, I really like that kind of sung kind of stuff. It's, sounds a bit kind of Jack Kerouac-y kind of, but it's like there's a story and some really neat images. Why do you cry? Is it cry, babe? Is it about your big brother? Even though he's 2 years younger, you rock forever until he's not. It's such an interesting way of saying, why do you cry, as opposed to putting it in the context of, why are you crying about something I did, or why are you sad and I don't understand, or
right.
It's a really neat little song.
It's a lot of words.
It really is, actually. A lot of chords and a lot of words.
Yeah, that's all. The other thing that makes it kind of hip hop is that there's a lot of words.
Yes.
and a lot of verses. Like he's marked stuff on the page as choruses, but to me they're all verses. Like except there's a little bit of change in some things, but but it's not monotonous at all. Like it does go ahead because he's changing the flow almost every other line, and the rhyme schemes are interesting because they're not predictable.
Yeah.
It's just really, 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 really interesting.
And there's not a lot of obvious repetition either.
No, that's what I mean. Like it's repetitive, but it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a really interesting approach to a song. It's something I don't know if I could actually ever pull this off myself.
No, this would be really hard actually to pull off something similar to this, because it's got this meandering quality, and yet it's clearly structured. There's a lot of like, it's very paradoxical.
Well, and that's like some of the hip hop guys, they're able to sort of do that this kind of, rambling kind of thing. And again, thinking about my own work, it tends to be kind of very classically songwritery. So it's, the rhythms and the approaches to the verses are kind of set up. And then there's variations, but they are variations from the theme. As opposed to this, which is much not free-flowing, although it feels free-flowing, but it's not.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It does feel rather free-flowing, but it's clearly tied to the groove. And yeah, it's really, really interesting. It's almost like you could only do this song, in a recording studio. Like it'd be really hard to perform this, I feel like, with a keyboard player and a drum loop and a singer. Like maybe, yeah, I don't know.
It's well, I mean, the hip hop guys do it, but yeah,
I suppose. But
I don't know if I could do it. But it's a fun thing to experiment. I have experimented with it in the past with not great success, but it's certainly a fun approach, Maybe that'll be our challenge for next year is to purposely do something against the way you normally do it. So if you do hip-hoppy things, you do a folk song. If you do folk song, you do a hip-hoppy thing, Although how to quantify that, I don't know, but it's a thought.
Yeah. How to judge that if it's met the challenge?
We'd have to rely on our listeners' honesty.
Yeah, exactly. Normally I do hip hop, but today I'm going to do hop hip.
Hopping in the hip in the
hip hop backwards.
Some cool stuff, I think. Today.
Yeah, absolutely. Our listeners are so creative.
They really are.
Yeah.
They do some amazing stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's about all the time we have for the show tonight. Special thanks to our fantastic listeners, Diane Simone, Don Thompson, Paul Gallagher, and all the others who submitted to us previously. We want to hear from you. So please send your comments, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram to @SongTalkRadio, or send us an email at feedback@songtalk.ca. And speaking of emails, we did actually get one from our good friend from the UK, Stuart Cook. And Stuart Cook wrote to us just the other day and said, "Hi, sorry to hear Michael's signing off. As Bruce's replacement, he had developed his own style of contribution." Very true. In this funny old post-COVID world, we all had to develop our own way to either just keep going or to forge new ways of delivering the project. You've done this extremely well in shifting to an internet package within the radio format. The project is, in reality, far more comprehensive. It's all a credit to you and Phil. I have to say, though, that I do miss the ladies who used to keep you in line, Linda and Vanessa, etc. Hope they are all okay. Yeah, we do, absolutely. Keep them coming. I've become a Susan Cattaneo fan since she was on, Stuart Cook. Thank you so much, Stuart, for the very kind words. It's
Susan is awesome.
Yeah, Susan's incredible, and she's a very gifted songwriter in her own right.
Absolutely.
And if you listen to her podcast, even though she presented a very folky kind of song, she's got some videos out there where she's just rocking it out, and it's really good.
She is brilliant.
You can do it all. Okay. And be sure to check out our YouTube channel for live performance videos and full episodes. Subscribe today to the Song Talk Radio podcast on your favorite podcast provider. And don't forget to sign up for our free newsletter at songtalk.ca. You can find links to all the products, books, and web services we mentioned on the show on our resources page on the website and wherever you are in the world. Please join us online via Zoom at our next monthly Song Talk meetup. It's free to join on meetup.com and free to attend. Stop by songtalk.ca for the link, bring a song and a lyric sheet, and get feedback from other songwriters and give feedback to other songwriters. It's a fantastic time. You can follow me at neilmodi.com. You can follow Phil
at philemery.ca.
Okie dokie. Thanks for listening, everybody. And be sure to stop by the website songtalk.ca to browse past shows and find out how you can be a guest. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and keep on writing.
Good night.
So long.